Salut, bienvenue. Je pensais que c'était un bon moment. Nous sommes à la fin janvier, début février, de regarder nos progrès jusqu'au présent cette année. Hi there. I thought this was a great opportunity with the end of January, beginning of February, to just have a look at what we've been doing at the French Room so far this year. So what have we done in January? I'm just looking up there because I've got a nice little list in front of me. The first thing I want to say is thanks very much for learning with me, and thanks for all your enthusiasm and feedback and participation and everything that you bring to the French Room, because this really is turning into really quite a vibrant community. And what I really love is what I've seen a lot of this month, which is people really facing stuff that's difficult head on and seeing some really good results. And what this month has been all about listening skills. And the reason we've done so much listening this month is because a lot of you told me in December that there was something that you were struggling with and that it's actually putting you off, perhaps holding your confidence back and making you feel like you weren't getting the progress that you wanted. It's all very well, isn't it, using the books and everything, having the theory, but you're not here at the French Room to just learn theory. You're here because you want to learn how to speak French and be able to handle any situation that comes up when you're in France. Well, just about. So listening has been our focus, and I want to just talk to you a little bit about what we've been doing, just as a reminder, recap what you've been doing actually, and some of the reasons why we've taken the approach that we have. So I'm just going to do my usual thing, which is I'm going to share the screen with you now. And there we go, share the screen. And what I've taken you into here is this is for anybody who is a subscriber. If you're not a subscriber yet, that's okay. You can have a 14-day free trial if you would like to give it a go. And there have been, quite often there are special offers on that you can have a little bit of a test out of it before you can, before you, well, I was going to say before you make your decision. But actually, you can stop, start, cancel, pause, whatever you want, anytime you like. It is a monthly subscription though. So I'm in one of the courses within the self-study program. You'll see self-study up there. I'm in one of them, and I'm in the listening one because this month has been all about listening. And I'm just going to take you down there to the course content. And if you came in this way, you would see that there's lots of different course modules. And there's new and recommended all the way down. And then we've got all the different French room levels you can go through, which take you from the beginning of your journey as a beginner all the way through to conversational ease. Now, what I'm going to draw your attention to is that if you're a subscriber, you will know, and if you're not, then you might like to know, is that most days of the week, Monday to Friday, you receive an email from me where I'm prompting you to think about your French and giving you a tuto, highlighting a tuto to you. You'll also find this in the chat on the website as well, because I put it in the chat. And the other place is if you're using the app, which I highly recommend using the app either on your iPad or your iPhone. It's only available on Apple at the moment, I'm afraid. But if you use the app, then you'll get a little prompt as well. So however you like to receive your prompts, however you like to receive your little bit of inspiration, like, oh, I'm going to do a bit of French today, there's probably one of those is going to suit you the best. Now I'm going to go into this here. So this was what I sent you in January. This is some of it actually. So everything that I send you, which is current, you're going to find in new and recommended. And you'll notice that this is for all levels. So let's have a look at some of the things that we've been looking at then. So I'm going to start off down here actually. So compare different levels, listening levels from 1 to 6. So when you've got this one, you'll notice that actually it's inside what we call an e-book. So it's inside a document. And you've got to try out, there's a couple of tutos there, which are for complete beginners, and some guided listening from me, some advice. It's always nice if you want to, I quite often put these in now where you can put some comments, your comments, either about the video, how it was for you, questions, that sort of thing. You can put them in here. Really happy to see those. None in there yet, but I think if I scroll down, I might find some. And then again, some more tutos here for level 2. And the good thing about this is, you could be any level. And you could actually start sort of like testing out and seeing what does a level 1 tuto feel like to me, listening feel like for me, even if I'm quite advanced. And then the other thing you can do, of course, is find out whether or not what level you are actually at. And so we've got lots of different levels here, as you can see. And I would encourage you to just test out all of them and see whether or not you feel like, oh, okay, how do I feel if I listen to a level 3? Does it feel easy to me? Does it feel difficult? If it feels easy, move on to a level 4. If it feels it's getting a little bit difficult, you could hesitate there, but then there's nothing to stop you from listening to a level 4. Just compare it. I'll just say though, when I'm talking about level 4, that in this tuto, for example, there'll be aspects perhaps of this video that are level 4, not necessarily the whole thing. And then we've got level 5. So that, for example, this video has got 2 elements of the same video. One's level 4, one's level 5, and then right up to level 6. So, that's a good place to start. But you've had all sorts of other things to look at. So I suppose why are we even doing this practice? Well, practicing like this is going to make a real difference when you're in France, because one of the things that you're going to find difficult is, people speak to you and you'll be like, oh, they speak so fast in France, and it's so different from the classroom experience, or it's so different for me reading subtitles on a video. Of course, it's spoken French. And so what we want to do is we want to get lots and lots of practice doing that. So why would you want to do that? Because when you arrive in France, it's going to feel familiar. And the more familiar it feels, the more confident you're going to feel, and the more able you will feel to cope with anything that's thrown at you. And that could be, by the way, somebody speaking to you in a shop, a very simple, maybe concrete situation. If someone makes a joke or a little sort of like little small talk or little pleasantry, and it's outside the domain of like, je voudrais une baguette, for example. Est-ce que vous avez des éclairs au chocolat or whatever, if you're in a boulangerie situation? You don't want to be thrown, because what we don't want to hear about, that I don't want to hear about, is you've been in France and your confidence being knocked, because your confidence will be able to cope and say, oh, okay, hold on, I wasn't expecting that. That's not what I was expecting to hear in this environment. Encore une fois, s'il vous plaît. If you've listened loads and loads of times to lots of different things, you've had lots of exposure and tried out these different things that I've sent you, then you're going to find that situation so much easier. What should you expect when you're actually doing the different listenings? Well, you should expect to find the different levels more or less challenging. And also expect to see from me that I will give you some reason, some intent to what you're doing, and objective behind what you're listening for. So sometimes I might say, listen for theme, listen for the general idea. Don't get too stuck on the detail, because you want to sort of like go with the flow, because you're not going to be able to stop people all the time. Other times I might say, look, let's be really, really precise, because we want to check out, did you really understand those details? Because that's obviously important in other situations. Other times I might just ask you to listen from the point of view of like, how are you interpreting it in your head? So there's some vocab things that I've sent in terms of like, listen to the sounds. Are you interpreting that in an English way, and then it's coming out in English, or are you thinking in French terms? So that's what you could expect. How do you do these things? Well, do them. I'll give you a little bit of guidance every day on how to study a tuto, and then of course a tuto is, I'm there with you, so I'm telling you how, I'm guiding you and showing you how to do things as we go. When will you see the benefit of this? Well, I mean, it depends. It's not linear, is it, learning a language? And sometimes it feels like it's really rough as you're going up that mountain, and you feel like I'm never ever going to reach the top, am I, of this particular mountain? I'd say everything that you learn in French is sort of like another, little mountain, and it feels pretty steep at the time, but then when you get to the top, it might not feel, it might feel more like a bump when you look at this sort of like the landscape of all the different things that you learn in French. But let's just go again with that analogy of like getting up to the top of the mountain. And sometimes getting to the top of that mountain is much more difficult for one thing than it is for another. Don't know why. But when you do get to the top, suddenly you can see it all. Imagine you're at the top there at the summit, and suddenly, oh yes, it all makes sense. You can see it all. And then you know what you have to do after you get to the top of the mountain? You've got to go back down again and probably go up another one. So that's what learning a language is like. So when you see the benefit will depend on how much effort you put into getting up to the top of the mountain, So how many times you listen to different things, how much time you challenge yourself to look at things from different perspectives, try all the different techniques that I suggest to you. And then it will just depend on how big that mountain happens to be for you. But it will fall into place. And then the benefit, the real benefit, will be when you just feel that great feeling inside of like, ka-ching, yes, I understood, either in our learning environment here at the French Room, or even better when you're out there in the wilds and you're in France and I could understand those things. I wasn't phased. So that's where we see the benefit. So that's January. Coming up in February, it's all going to be all about words. It's all going to be about vocabulary and words and real French, and how can we use that to our advantage. Obviously, we know that communication is about much, much more than words. And when I talk about words, I'm not talking about grammatical concepts. I'm talking about actually how do we build that sort of like baseline of vocabulary so that we feel at ease, and also we can find the right one to say when we want to express ourselves. So thanks very much for listening to me. Thanks for all of your involvement. Love to hear your feedback and on what I'm sending you. And I hope to see you again soon. Merci beaucoup. Merci à toi. Au revoir.